So good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our town council meeting to order. And if we could all rise for the pledge to the flag, appreciate it. Oops. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we begin our meeting, I ask that we all pause for just a few moments of silence. Thank you. As we start our meeting, I thank everyone for their attendance. I thank the town council for the work session that we just had. And as Mr. Barnes stated, we did have great dialogue and much appreciated for our residents. To start off our meeting, we have a special presentation of the FY 21-22 annual audit. And Mr. Robert Diss of Lindsay and Associates is here to provide us the information presentation. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Bob Diss. Nobody calls me Robert except my mother, I guess. I'm in trouble.
I was being official.
I know. I get it, Miss Mayor. So anyway, I've got the audit in front of me for the town of Edmonston, June 30th, 2022. I'm going to assume you've either all got it in front of you or you've read it and memorized it. So I'm going to go through, just hit a few highlights, not go through it every single page. Starting on page 1 is the auditor's opinion letter. It's 3 pages, and it gives the town a clean opinion, also called an unmodified opinion. You may notice, maybe not, but I'll tell you that the wording has changed, and the AICPA has moved the paragraphs around and added some things, but it still says the same thing. We give reasonable assurance that the statements are not materially misstated. And it takes us 3 pages to say that, and it is dated October 20th. It was filed on time. So the next section is the MD&A management discussion and analysis, starting on page 4 through 10. Pages 4 through 10, and it just is written not by us, but rather by town management, probably just Rod, and it tells the reader whatever he wants the reader to know about what happened in the town. A couple of good tables in there are on pages 8 and 9, because they compare the current year, meaning 2022, to the prior year, 21. And you can take a look at there and see some of the big differences. One of the biggest differences is on page 9, about halfway down, the intergovernmental revenues. Obviously, this year was a lot more than the prior year, because you got the first tranche or what have you of the ARP money, $734,000. One thing I should ask is, over what period are you going to be spending the entire amount? What's the amount you're going to get and over what period?
Right. The total amount is double that. So we got $1,468,000.
Over what period are you going to spend that? Do you know?
It's about a 3-year
period. Okay.
Almost 4 if they decide to do the town hall renovation.
Right. Okay. All right. So, but just keep in mind, if you spend more than $750,000 in 1 year, that triggers a single audit. Which is a little bit different. Okay. Okay. Then, but moving right along on page 11 is where the financial statements are. It's important to know there's 2 different sets of financial statements because they're on 2 different bases of accounting, because that's what the AICPA said to do. The first set is on the full accrual basis of accounting. It takes everything of the town into account, including fixed assets, depreciation expense, long-term debt, all that stuff. And on page 11 is I'll call it the balance sheet for that one. Got your assets on top, liabilities on the bottom. It contains certain things that the other one doesn't, like, loan payable, net pension liability, stuff like that. The related income statement for that one is on page 12. It starts with expenses, revenues by department go across, and then general revenues coming down. Again, that's what they told us to do. And on that basis of accounting, you increase your equity by $180,000. The other set of financial statements is pages 13 and 14. And those are on the modified accrual basis of accounting, which is really just current assets and current liabilities. There's no long-term debt, no fixed assets, anything like that. Page 13 is the balance.
Bob, 1 second. Would it be helpful if he shared the screen? Or I mean, I can pull up the audit and put on the screen if you want it to as he goes through it. Would that be helpful? I'm seeing yeses. So all right,
It'd be
I'll do
helpful
that.
to me. Yeah, thank you.
Just take me a minute.
Bob could actually bring it up on his PC.
Oh, well, I have it in a file.
Yeah. Yeah, but either way, whichever you like.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Bob.
Let me see.
You probably do it faster than me.
Is it that one? Oh, yeah, share. So do you see the audit report?
Yes.
Okay. So that was the audit report. There's the management's discussion and analysis right there. Those are the two tables I mentioned. There you can see, do you see the pointer?
Yes.
No, you can't. Okay. Right there's the intergovernmental revenues that went way up. And then over here, there's the full accrual basis balance sheet with your assets up here. There's the net capital assets, meaning your fixed assets, buildings, roads, things like that. And down here are is the loan payable and net pension liability. You'll only find those on this page right here. Here's the income statement on that basis. The expenses are over here, and those expenses include depreciation expense, which is not something, you budget for or write a check for, but it's an expense. And the revenues by department go across here. And of course, most of your revenue is in the general revenue right here. And on that basis, you increase your equity there by $180,000. The other set, as I mentioned, is on the modified accrual basis, and it only accounts for current assets and current liabilities. There's no fixed assets in here. There's no long-term debt here. It's just current assets, current liabilities. And there's a reconciliation over here to the right, and that's always going to be your long-term liabilities, your capital assets, things like that, things related to the deferred inflows and outflows related to the net pension liability, that sort of thing. The related income statement is there on page 14. Revenues on top, expenditures below that. On that basis, you increase your equity by about $300,000. And of course, there is a reconciliation over to the right. And that's going to be depreciation, expense, repayment of long-term debt, things like that. Excuse me, the notes to the statement begin there on page, what are we on, 15. Page 15, note 1 is always summary of significant accounting policies. That's the one you read if you're having trouble sleeping. I won't go through a whole lot in there. Let me see, I made a couple of marks on my printed copy here. Yeah, note 1 goes on for quite a while. I'll go to note 3. Note 3 talks about your deposits, your investments really. You've got $736,000 in MLGIP. Note 5 is capital assets. These are the capital assets you added throughout the year. The $72,000 of vehicles, I think is police vehicles, I think. And then here's the depreciation that we calculated on all of the assets. $174,000 of depreciation expense. The next really fascinating note is going to be note 8. Note 8, this one, you are in the Maryland State Retirement Pension Program. And so therefore, we've got this big, huge note that's only been there for the last few years. And this tells you everything you wanted to know about the pension plan. Like, for example, you contributed $34,000 last year and about the same the prior year. Right here are all the disclosures, your
Can I just
portion
ask
of,
why it was so low in 2020?
Rod, do you know why? Did you had more
Yes,
employees?
No, this fee is based on when we joined the retirement system through their actuarial study, and they projected our cost out over the period of time. So that's almost a set number based on that. They gave us a lower number towards the front of joining the retirement system. We joined in
Oh.
2014, and then now it continues to grow as time goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, everything in here is just based on the actuaries. We just take their word for it. And I'll point out that the actuarial report is actually dated as of June 30th, 2021. And the reason we use the prior year report is because it takes them about 9 months for the next report to come out. So your audit wouldn't be finished until, sometime next summer. So therefore they allow it to use up to 1 year prior. It's kind of interesting that they used an inflation mark of 2.6%. I'm not sure where they got that number, but that's the one the actuaries used. Also, we'll point out that the pension plan is funded to 81%. Last year, I think it was only about 70%. Yeah, 70.7%. This year, it's almost 82%. And that's where they have all the investments, at least as of June 30th, 2021. So moving along, that's all the assumptions. There's the funded. Long-term obligations. These are the all the long-term debt of the town. You got your bonds, bond premium. Your copier lease is about to be paid off. That's good. Rod, let me ask you a question about the vehicle leases. Are those actual leases, or are you really buying them?
No, we actually are buying.
You're buying them, yeah. So they're not considered, leases under the new standard. There's a new standard that comes out as an effective next year. If you have a lease, an actual lease, then it affects your financial statements. But looking at this, I don't think it's going to. You have to put on an asset, a right to use asset, and then a corresponding long-term liability for the leases. I haven't figured out why they do that, but we're going to do that next year. And it looks like it may not affect you. All right, we're getting pretty close to the end. New accounting pronouncements, the leases is in there somewhere. There it is, 87. It was going to go into effect this year, but they postponed it. And I believe that's the only one that's going to affect you. So as we continue on, we show the original budget and final budget and compare that to the actual and show the variance. And then after that, those are some things related to the pension plan. After that, we go in and show budget to actual, more or less line by line, and show the variance. And that's the one that always draws people's eyes. And here's the report. This is basically stating right there, we had no difficulties in performing the audit. That's good. Had no disagreements with management. And also over here, we didn't find any internal control things that need to come to your attention. We couldn't catch Rod in any fraud or anything like that.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. We'll keep trying though. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Bob. Yes. I wanted to open it up for First Council, if you had any comments or questions or.
Can I just ask a quickie question? You, when you were looking at what the actuarials had calculated and you were noting the interest rate, and you were like, oh, I don't know where they pulled that number from. The fact that the interest rates sort of are going up, is that impactful? Is that?
Yeah, let me show you where they show that.
Yeah.
Right here. This is based off the interest rates let me see, the interest they get on the return on their investments. And so if you get a much higher rate, the rate they use is what, 6.8. So if you got 7.8, then your total liability would go way down. But if you only got 5.8, your liability is going to go up. And so that's how the return on investment rate impacts your liability.
I guess just any of the other sort of figures where we maybe are paying on debt or anything, is anything like that impacted by these recent interest rates that are
I don't
happening?
think these are variable interest, are they, Rod?
No, none of these are. In fact, our GO bonds was financed, refinanced a couple, 3 years ago at even, I think it's less than 2%. And the leases are all in the 3% range. So they're none of them, at this point, they're all,
2.5,
yeah, 2.5.
Mhm.
Ours is
and others
all in our
2%.
favor right now, Councilmember Chester. So that's a good thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're not affected by high interest rates.
Thank you, Ms. Chester. Any other questions or comments? I'll
think-
also open it. I'm sorry.
I had one. Just
Oh, hi, Ms. Ferguson.
to respond to Mr. Des, just for
No.
next year.
Yeah, hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
To respond about the leases.
Mhm.
They are, in terms of requesting whether they're real or not real, as you know, municipal governments are limited in how they can obtain funds. They can either go out to bond, well, they can only do that, can't go and just buy a car based on a regular sales contract at a car sales place. And so municipalities instead have gone into leases as a way to deal with that issue when they don't want to bond something. So in terms of whether this is a real lease, it is. It's formally done that way so that it's compliant with the financing laws. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, they've always called leases either, well, something leases or capital leases. Capital leases meaning, well, you're really going to buy it. And those are not affected by the new standard. We're just not going to call them a lease anymore. But some places will have a lease like on an office, and that's completely different. That's the kind of leases that are affected by the new standard.
Okay, well, just to be careful in terms of putting it as to whether it's a real lease or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, saying it's a real lease is that's maybe not, that's not accurate, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ferguson. I'd also open it to any citizens, any guests that we have that have any questions pertaining to our audit. Any comments? Well, fantastic. I do thank you, Bob, for your presentation and your service.
Thank you.
On
Thank
the
you very
audit.
much. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure auditing you.
Thank you. Mr. Barnes, did you have any comment or anything?
The only comment I have is I just want to thank Bob and his staff. They're great to work with when we have questions, when QuickBooks doesn't do exactly what we think it should do with showing how something should be. They're able to help us and make sure that that happens. But they also do a great job, making sure that we have the right controls in place. They can't be, they can't be on every transaction, but it does seem like they always pick out the transactions that have the most questions or difficulties around them. So
Yeah,
That's what they do.
that's what they do.
that's
but-
our job. Yes.
Yeah, but I always look to them as for guidance too, and I appreciate their assistance and helping answer. We're not technical experts and we're not CPAs, they are, and so appreciate their input, and I always appreciate presenting the report, because there is a lot of great information in that report, and I know the council, it's on our website. I hope that other people look at it, but I hope the council just takes some time and look, because our financial position changes every year, and we want to particularly hone in on those revenues and expenses because that's where we want to try to build some more reserves. We haven't been able to put any funds into reserve now for a couple of years to grow that 750. And my target was always $1 million to have in the bank. So for a rainy day. So I hope we can maybe get back to that this year and get a little bit in there because of lag on salaries.
Thank you. You know, Bob, just a side note, you have that either sports or newscaster, I'm sorry, or weather voice. It's like when I hear you talk, I either think you're on the news somewhere. Have you ever?
No, it's probably having grown up in the Midwest.
Uh-huh.
That's the voice they go for, really, the Midwest.
Aha. And that's something.
And a lot of presentations. I used to be a stand-up comic, so I don't know.
You have that voice. Aha.
Take it for what it is.
Well, thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure doing business with you.
All right.
And we'll see you again next year.
Indeed.
All right.
Or unless we get to that $750,000 amount with our ARPA funds, right?
If you spend that much in one fiscal year,
Then
Then
we'll
we'll
see
have
him a whole lot more because he's got a whole lot more work to do.
well, it adds about 4,000 or 5,000 to the cost. It's not a whole lot. Yeah. But it depends on how much you spend, but the small amount is only like 4 or 500. 4 or 5,000, yeah.
Thank you for
Okay.
your expertise.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a lovely meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right, thank you. As we move forward in our meeting, we're going into old business, and it is the final consideration, of ordinance 2022-OR-06, amending the personnel manual to clarify that employee lunch is not paid. It was introduced at our October 12th regular council meeting. We did have a policy that stated that an employee may take a 30-minute or 60-minute lunch. We changed it to say that an employee will take, and I guess that's what it's saying, will, right? Will take a 30 or 60-minute lunch without pay. So at this time, I will, I thought someone said something. At this time, I will accept a motion to approve the final consideration of ordinance 2022-OR-06.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Ms. McCully.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? There's no discussion. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
You, motion passes. Appreciate it. All right, the next item is actually new business, and the new business is the approval of our minutes. And we have the October 12th work session meeting minutes, the October 12th regular session meeting minutes, and the October 29th work session meeting minutes. I will accept a motion to approve the minutes for October.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Ms. McCully. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Superb. Thank you. And I thank you for 3 meetings in October. The next item said for us to review and approve the Stormwater Management Best Practices Grant Program for flood mitigation assistance for our residents. We had a healthy discussion concerning this, and we are moving forward with it. Next month, we will place this back on the agenda for approval. We made many edits, but very good edits that will benefit our residents. So I don't think, do I need a motion to move that off? Okay. We already approved that in the work session. Thank you. The next item is the introduction of ordinance 22-OR-07, granting a renewal of the cable franchise, the Comcast of Maryland LLC agreement, and authorizing a franchise agreement. Our attorney, Sue Ellen Ferguson, will speak on that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
I know Rod was at the presentation last week, attended along with most of the other municipalities in the county. Part of it was you could participate either personally or online. Believe it or not, this negotiation has been going on since 2012 to renew the Comcast franchise. And we are finally have in hand a document that we can recommend in the current climate. Things have changed a lot since this agreement was first entered into. First of all, some of the municipalities had not come around to the idea that working together with the county too was the best way to negotiate. So they learned that. And in fact, when we negotiated the Verizon agreement, everyone was together in the county and all the 27 municipalities. That is the case now for this Comcast agreement. And so some of the municipalities will be getting like 3% PEG for the first time they've ever received it. And so that is a good thing too. Can you give me the ability to share? Rod, I wanted to put up one page of the PowerPoint. Hopefully I can pull this off.
You got it.
Thank you. Okay, let's see where this is. There we go. Okay. Can you see the document?
Yes.
Okay. This is a summary for everyone. Edmonston was in the class of towns that actually worked together last time to negotiate the Comcast agreement. And so had the best deal. And what we're trying to do is to maintain as much of that as we could. Around the country, as you know, the town is part of the INET, which now connects the town to the other governments locally and regionally, and is used by your police to connect with the county and other municipal police departments and with federal authorities. So we've all become very reliant on the INET. Across the country, the providers are refusing to continue services on INETs, and they instead want to charge a lot of money per site for maintenance to be able to allow it to continue. We have been able, as part of this deal and part of a settlement agreement that you approved several years ago now, if I don't even remember it, it was so long ago. We've been able to get this INET continued to be supported for another 10 years, which is the length of this franchise agreement. After that, Comcast will not have an obligation to support it. In the interim, we're going to be doing our best to build out those parts of the INET system that Comcast actually owns at the moment. The county owns part of it and Comcast owns part of it. The town will be required to pay a portion of maintenance fees now to Comcast, but it will be, to my understanding, parsed out amongst municipalities in the county as the other costs of the INET are now anyway. So it will be a small amount to you. This franchise agreement, the existing franchise is 5%, and that will be maintained, but with a better definition of what a gross revenue is. So the 5% will be applied against a larger amount of money, amount of income. The 3% gross revenue is that it will continue. And we've been able to negotiate the fact that any of the monies that are used on the INET, we call it CNET now because it's going to be separate from Comcast as we go into the future. Anything you spend on maintaining the INET is now a capital cost, and you can spend your 3% PEG monies on it. You will continue to have 3 municipal channels to use. Currently you use 1, and you will be entitled to an HD channel as part of that, at least 1. And as I said, 10 more years for the Comcast owned side of the INET. You will still get free drops that you, as I understand that actually maybe that drop isn't still functioning at Town Hall, and that's something we can get taken care of. You'll continue to have your INET site, and you could continue to have your PEG channel where you currently put some of your activities on, and you can also use it for other PEG purposes. You're not so interested in the build out because Edmonston is pretty much all built out in terms of the system. So in essence, you've been able to hold on to most of the benefits that the town had in the prior years. The delay in coming to this agreement actually has been of benefit because the rights that you had under the last agreement were some of the best in the country. Our cable council on this, from Best and Krieger, who put together this table, have indicated, and they have nationwide experience, have indicated that this is one of the best deals. Prince George's County has one of the best deals in the country.
I said no.
So that's why the group is the negotiating team, of which I have been a member. And so I have representatives from Greenbelt, Bowie, and Laurel, and the county, and part of this team, recommend it to you for adoption. I sent last week a copy of the county's agreement, and that will be the same agreement that you have. All the parties will have the same agreement. And so it won't be based on how big you are, or if you came in late, or if you came in early. Everyone gets the benefit, same benefit of the agreement. And so if we do recommend it to you, the agreement that the county has will be tailored to match you, and we'll make sure that all of your sites are in the exhibits so that you can retain all of those as we go into the next 10 years. And unless you want me to keep this up, I will stop sharing and take questions.
Any questions for Ms. Ferguson?
I don't have a question, Mayor, but I have a comment. We are deeply indebted to Sue Ellen and the negotiating team and the experts that they brought in. If the town of Edmonston would have had to try to negotiate this on our own, I can guarantee you we would have come out with something a lot different. And so the bargaining power of the 27 communities in Prince George's really, really benefited Edmonston. And I just want to say thank you to Sue Ellen and to the negotiating team for making it relatively easy for us. I know over the last decade or so, they probably thought they weren't going to ever get to the end, but they're there. So it's terrific.
And we're asking you to introduce tonight. You already have the agreement with the county's information the towns will be put in instead and those places, and I'm tailoring that now. But you're being asked to take this up fairly quickly because Comcast has been willing to negotiate with the group based upon the representation by the group that we carry the authority to negotiate for all the municipalities in the county. And Comcast has been very interested in that prospect because having to go through all 27 municipalities is kind of daunting, as you can imagine. And so that's part of the reason that they worked with us to the extent that they have. And so we had promised them that we would start moving this as soon as we had come to the end. And the only thing that we really still have to complete the full agreement, and that's why you would be adopting it in substantially the form that you have it, is that we have to fill in all of the sites for all the municipalities that have to be in the exhibits. But that's all that's left to do, and we want to make sure we catch everyone's sites and have it complete. So we had told Comcast we would start introducing and adopting by the end of the year. The county is going to adopt in January because they are closed out right now for new legislative matters.
Thank you. There are only a few that can serve in this manner and comprehend and then explain it to us in common terms where we could slightly understand. And I give you many kudos for that. I mean, you've been doing it for a long time, as Rod stated, and it's just unbelievable. This is just unbelievable. So thank you. So council, you've heard, you've comprehended as much as you can. And so I'd like to request a motion to approve the introduction of this ordinance 2022-OR-07, granting a renewal of the cable franchise to Comcast.
I'll
So is
make
there
that
a motion? Thank you so much, Ms. McCollum. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Chester. Is there any other discussion? If not,
No.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All right, motion is approved. All right, let's move on down to the next item, which is the consideration of award of sidewalk construction bid for Emerson Street
I had to put it.
from 51st to 52nd Avenue, 51st Street. No, 51st Place, 52nd Avenue, 51st Street from Emerson to Crittenden, and 52nd Avenue from Town Hall to the Rec Center in the amount of $135,200. This is using our CDBG grant in the amount of $117,887. And at this time, I will open this up for Mr. Barnes to expel. And Ms. Chester did have a question.
Your Honor, yeah, I'm excited to get to this point. We're a little behind on this. This is ENR
Okay.
Services, the name of the
Questions,
company that would be doing the services. As we said, this is a CDBG grant that we got from Prince George's County. We eliminated, because of the bid coming in at 169,000, our grant is for 117. So we eliminated the block of 51st Place and the block from 52nd Avenue over to 52nd Place on Emerson. So that way we got closer to our amount, and we can use our HUR, our Highway User Fund account for the balance that will be required. The project will put a sidewalk on Emerson from 52nd to 51st on the south side of the street. From 51st to Decatur, it's on the east side of the street. from Decatur to Crittenden on 51st, it's on the west side of the street. We tried not to, we don't move utility poles, so we go around utility poles and we maintain the required distance for wheelchair accessibility ADA. And we also do not take down trees if we can avoid it, and do the same thing. The engineers design a lip with stormwater drainage flow appropriately to make this happen. There's a whole lot of documents that tonight's award would be subject to executing all of the grant documents and review by the town attorney, and contracts and associated that go with it. This will give us, with our safe routes to schools, this will give this side of the east side of the town of the bridge will give essentially a sidewalk on every street except for the block of 52nd Place and the block of 51st Place, as I outlined. And we'll try to do that in a future grant to be able to add those locations that we don't have in this. But the goal, as you recall, was to try to get a sidewalk on one side of the street so the children would have a place to walk to and from school. And we focused on getting to the recreation center so you could walk down 52nd Avenue and be on a sidewalk versus in the street to get to any activities going on at the rec center.
Thank you so much for your work on the grant. Greatly appreciate it. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Barnes, Ms. Chester?
Not to be super nitpicky, but I don't think there's a 51st Street, right? So is that right? Like
Sorry, it's 51st Shore Street, and so
Right.
yeah,
51st Avenue and 51st
Avenue, yeah.
Place and 52nd Avenue.
correct.
And then I guess my only kind of question / concern, not having seen the actual like plans, like a mock-up or a line drawing of what it would look like, is if they are making bump outs where there are utility poles, what does that do to parking? Because the side of the street that will have the sidewalk and potentially the bump outs is also the side of the street where people can currently park. And so would that disrupt and sort of take away from some street parking?
It potentially could take a parking spot away, but we try not to do that. So we either go in front of the pole or behind the pole, whichever access we have. I'll get you you can
Yeah.
come into the office if you want and look at the
Okay.
engineering plans. There's
Yeah.
drawings available for you. If you have specific questions, happy to share them to anyone that would want to
Yeah.
see that. I think we have a question, Mayor, also from a resident.
Okay.
Hello, good
Ms.
evening.
Ms. Rosa,
Hey, hi, how are you? So I'm a little under the weather, so I'm struggling with my voice here. My question, and I think I'm just a little bit late to the game, but how do you identify which streets are prioritized with sidewalks and which aren't? We're on the side of where Lafayette Street is, and as you know, there's a lot of auto shops back there, and I often see how sometimes kids struggle, sharing the street with vehicles. So how do you identify which streets get prioritized?
Thank you, Ms. Lopez, for your question. I just need you to unmute and just, again, state your name and your address for us, please.
Yep, Rosa Lopez, 4903 Gallatin.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Barnes?
Yes, Rosa, thank you that's a good question. The town had a pedestrian bike study done about, I think now it's about 6 years ago. And so they prioritized the whole town into where they wanted to add sidewalks and how. Because we don't have large capital budgeting availability in our funds, we write grants to obtain sidewalks. It happens that the east side of town qualifies for what's called community development block grants because of an income-based situation through the census tract. Edmonston has 2 census tracts, one on the east side, one on the west side. The west side of town does not qualify for that particular grant program, so we've had to explore other grant programs to do that. I wrote a grant recently for the town that would add sidewalks on Lafayette from Taylor to Ingraham. And then if we're successful with that in December, then next year, those would be added. We currently, council has under design sidewalk for Gallatin Street and then also for 47th Avenue and for Hamilton. And we have a grant for 47th Avenue identified, and we believe we have funding identified for Gallatin. So all of those sidewalks will be coming in the next 2 years.
Well, keeping my fingers crossed for that, and thank you for submitting those grants. You know, I remember when I had first moved in, and I think when I met you, this was about 4 or 5 years ago. That was one of my first questions, you know, just sidewalks, which we seem to lack. But, you know, now I have a 7-year-old and I have nieces and nephews who also have to walk to the bus stop on Taylor. And as you know, Lafayette, it's a high volume traffic street. So that's always been a concern of mine. And I think that the bike lanes have and the speed bumps have, as well as the stop sign has sort of minimized that, but it hasn't really taken care of the issue. So thank you for answering my question, and very excited to hear that it's in the plans.
Also, that particular grant that we are asking for the sidewalk on Lafayette includes a bus stop shelter at Taylor and Lafayette, and it also includes flashing red solar lights on the stop signs there on Lafayette at Gallatin, Hamilton, and Ingraham. So it would be great improvements to help with the children getting to and from their home and to their school stop.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rosa, for attending and your question. Very good question. Very, very good points. We appreciate it. And so at this time, I ask the council to consider the award of sidewalk construction bid for Emerson Street from 51st and 52nd, 51st Avenue from Emerson to Crittenden, and 52nd Avenue from Town Hall to the Rec Center in the amount of $135,000 using the CBD G grant of $117,887. Is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tuberville. Is there a second?
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, any further discussion? If not, at this time, I will call a vote. All in favor, please indicate. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Barnes, I missed that, but all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Ms. McCauley, are you up?
She looks frozen.
Oh,
I mean, not like
yes.
she's frozen.
Yeah.
Her internet connection.
Oh, yeah,
looks
she's
frozen.
gone. Mr. Johnson, are you here? All right. So we have the motion, we have 2 ayes. Okay. All right, motion passes. Unmute.
I will be going out to each home that's impacted by the sidewalk in front of their house to give them notice of where the sidewalk's going and when the project will start. So.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next item that we have is the consideration of a request for designation of 1 handicap parking space located in front of 5117 Crittenden. Mr. Barnes, you have that request in hand, or?
Yes, Your Honor. This came about in an interesting way, actually. It's all part of the WSSC water main replacement program. And as many of you know, as they've gone through this process, they relocated fire hydrants. And in this particular case, in the homeowner's property, there was a hydrant that existed that did not impact the front of his home. His lot's rather long. He's got extra footage on Crittenden. And so the fire hydrant was at the end of the lot and not impacting parking of any kind. WSSC, for whatever reason, decided to move the hydrant and was going to place it between his front gate walkway and the driveway. And so he did not want that to occur. And so he stopped WSSC and actually Councilmember McCauley worked with him and then contacted me, and we got WSSC on the phone. Not sure why they were wanting to move it, but one of the suggestions was is if they designated the space in front of their home for his wife that's handicapped with their, they already have approved handicap permits from the state, that would prevent the hydrant from being located there. And WSSC actually went along with that. And so this is the step now. The next step is to request your approval to allow that handicapped parking space to be designated and the curb painted blue in front of their home.
Any questions on that?
5117 Crittenden is the house, for those not familiar, is the house with the chain link fence with the barbed wire, and it's got 2 German Shepherds. And so that maybe tells you better location. And I'm sorry, Councilmember McCauley isn't back on.
Oh, she put a message.
Yeah, she thought all was frozen, but I told her it was just,
To be admitted.
there she goes.
My only comment, and I believe we probably have, because our town does this, they deal with parking and all of that, but as long as they have the proper stickers and or tags for handicap or disabled parking.
Yeah, my
they
only
have to
worry is,
verify that.
yeah, they do. My only worry is a little bit that we're going to get this request growing, and we have only 3. This will be our 3rd designated one in town, but it could become, every block could end up having designated spaces potentially, and just be, I guess, mindful of that as we go forward. But Betsy's back now, and she can add any comments about this particular issue with the hydrant and the designation there on Crittenden.
So my other thing is we're putting up the pole and the sign, right? It does not, we have the right not to designate it specifically for this particular resident. It's a disabled parking space. We know he's the one that's going to use it because he requested it and the location, but a disabled spot is a disabled spot unless we're going to do some type of numbering.
It has a permit, it has a permit number associated with the space.
Oh, it does. Okay.
It does.
Okay. Did he get it
right
from
up.
MVA?
Yes, it goes right up on the
Okay.
sign. Mhm.
Okay. Well, in that case, I won't say we can't deny them because we can, but I'm calling it the wrong thing. It's not fair housing, but special reasonable accommodations. We can do that as a town, and so if it happens where a couple other people ask for it, if they are disabled and they have the sticker and the ID number, I don't see a reason to not provide. So that's my comment. Okay, so finding my place. At this time, I will accept a motion for the consideration of a request for designation of one handicap parking space located in front of 5117 Crittenden. Is
I'll
there a
make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. McCollum. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Chester. Any further discussion, comments? If not, calling the vote, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Was that a nod? Yes, Ms. Chester.
Aye.
Oh, okay.
Like a frog in my throat.
And motion passes. Thank you very much. I'm sure you will be happy about that. All right, the next item is our police report by our acting chief, Chief Beal. Police and code.
Mayor and council. So the first thing I give you is the police report for October 2022. We only had one on theft, 4 theft remodels for the crime that was reported to us last month. Compared to September, we only had 1 felony assault, which we made the arrest on, and 1 theft remodel. Down to the parking tickets, 31 parking tickets, 100 movement violations, 1 criminal arrest, 108 premise checks, 34 traffic stops. Out of those 34, we made 23 traffic impounds, 200 calls for service, and 224 red light camera citations issued. The red light camera generated $16,800 in revenue, and we got $1,955 from the impounds. That's from the code report. From the police report. The code report, she issued out 3 municipal infractions, which is the court documents that we submit off for citations, for civil citations. She issued 10 warning and orange stickers and 13 parking citations. And that's for October. So she also created a digital form that we're giving out to all the businesses. So that way they know how to get UNO permits and come in compliance with not only us, but the county. She helped public works out with grass violations at the 4700 block of Hamilton Street. So they come into compliance with the town of Edmonston's code. And that'd be it for the code and police reports. I did want to mention the software that we got. Rod helped me get it as well. It's the Frontline Public Safety Solutions. It's a professional standards software. What it does is it allows us as the police department to be able to track our internal affairs complaints. Citizens can now place complaints and compliments on officers on our website. They don't have to come to the station anymore. They could just place all the complaints and compliments on the website. It notifies us. We deal with it, and then we have our victims' right advocate give them a phone call to let them know whether it's closed, whether it was sustained, and whether the officer, once everything is said and done, it notifies them to keep track of it. It also gives the citizens the chance to, instead of calling Rod and emailing him, they can actually go online to the town website and put in any public work order. Rod will get the notification. They could put in any criminal or suspicious activity that they see. Myself and Captain Sullivan will get the notification, and then we can handle it as such. Any other questions about the software or anything else?
Thank you, Acting Chief Beal. Is there a question or two for Chief Beal concerning his report? All right, well, thank you, Chief Beal. I'm glad you just decided to go ahead with that program. I think it's going to be very effective and very innovative. So Thank you, and hopefully it's a benefit to our residents. Well, I'm sure it will be, once
And
we
we'll
roll that
post
out.
I'll have Asha post the link to both on our town website and our social media. So that way they can get an idea of what it looks like.
Mhm. And we have to figure out some other way to get it to them for those who are not so much into our social media, so that they can understand how to use it. Invite phone calls or whatever to say it was the instruction. Sorry about the phone calls. Okay, Ms. Chester, you had a comment? Oh, okay. I saw you raise up like you were getting ready to say something. Thank you. That's good. Very innovative. Mr. Barnes?
Well, the chief's being modest too. He needed to report that the trunk or treat this year was highly successful. It was a great event down at the rec center. I think we had over 300 children. We gave out 3,000 pieces of candy, 200 and plus ice cream bars, and I don't know how much popcorn, and the 360 was popular. The hayrack rides were popular, and everyone had fun line dancing or doing something. But anyway, a great team effort on the part of the town and the council, and it was so exciting to see so many people out in place. The other thing that he's not telling you about or reminding you about is the domestic violence activity he's doing. The patrol car is sitting outside. It's very impressive. I'm
Yeah, I gotta get it washed. That's all. I'm getting it washed. Then I put it out front.
Okay. Anyway, it's got great information to help people when the patrol car is out and about to get into that program. I don't have much else. Thank you to Avery for a great job with and Asha and the council for the casino night and veterans appreciation. We served meals to about 20 of our local veterans last Friday night, and we had really fun time with casino night at the rec center, playing bingo, and Miss Vanna giving away a bunch of scratch offs. So hope that program continues to grow and residents get involved. Great news last night. Late, I got an email notification from the USDA that we had been awarded our grant application for food composting door to door, $279,030 in partnership with EcoCity Farms. So over the next 18 months, we will be rolling out that program and making Edmonston a little greener and a little more aware of the environment when it comes to food waste. And I believe right now we have turkey basket distribution happening next Friday, the 18th, and the offices will be closed for Thanksgiving Thursday and Friday. Just a reminder that the Christmas caravan this year is going out in the community. We have volunteer appreciation that night. It's December 3rd. And then we end up lighting the Mayor's Christmas tree in Veterans Park. So we're very excited about getting ready for that. It's hard to believe the holiday season is here, and we have special holiday stacks. So hopefully council members mark it on your thing. If the staff can figure it out exactly, we may have an exciting float to to premiere in the caravan. We're not quite sure yet about that. So anyway, we hope to maybe do that. But that's all of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Any questions for Mr. Barnes? Comments? Well, kudos for that huge grant award for composting. It just allows us to do so much more for our residents and introduce us more into environmental good stuff. So I tell you, I say to many that since I've lived here and have become a leader here, I've learned so much about our environment. We are a really green community. So Thank you for all your efforts with these grants. You are the grant writing king. So I will open it up to for our council and dialogue in no particular order. And if a council member has a report, and I see you are unmuted, Ms. Chester. Don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but you are up.
I don't think I have any big updates to share, quite honestly.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your service. All right. Any other council member?
I'm just
Yeah, I
gonna
just wanna
throw in my
say,
2 cents.
Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
No, I was just gonna say, had a great night at the casino night, and
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell Rick, I don't like how you put those 3 jokers in that deck. It was all in fun though, and it was a great night.
Very good.
That's all I had.
That was good. Was Ms. McCauley?
Our Halloween trick or treat down at the rec center, I want to say that was probably one of the best nights, for trick or treat. Those kids had a blast, and I can tell you that my Josie probably touched every one of them little pumpkins and carried it around. Plus, she liked the lights. Rachel tell you she liked the little candle lights. It was a great job. Y'all, the police department did a wonderful job getting that together, along with Mr. Barnes, and we can't forget Avery because she was holding down them pumpkins. Great night.
What was that
Oh, yeah, we need to-
costume? Was it a Miss Avery, a Batgirl? I don't.
Butterfly.
Oh, it was a butterfly. Yeah. Okay. I knew you had a cape. Yes.
We need to also thank Fountain Park for donating all that candy too.
Yes. 3,000 pieces, right, Chief?
Yeah, I know it's quite a bit. I forgot how much.
Very good. And
Yeah,
Ms.
I just-
Turnerville?
I don't have anything to add. It's lovely to hear and to see so many wonderful things happening in the community. And also that the new bus stop looks fantastic.
It's great. Looks beautiful. All I have is, thanks for casino night and our trunk or treat, dumpster day, all the council members that participate, the staff, your efforts. It's keeping our community thriving and moving forward. Just wanted to inform you, November the 17th, it is our joint PGCMA and Montgomery County chapter meetings. And 2 good topics that we're going to discuss is the PEPCO. They're now allowing municipalities the right to, is it to put up their lights? Yeah, to acquire street lights. It's a little complicated. So conversation should be really good to give us more of an understanding. We'll have representatives there or a representative there. And then also, we're going to talk about rent stabilization. But we do have a rental community here, but there are some different aspects of it. So that'll be a great conversation as well if you want to join in via Zoom or in person. And that's November the 17th. It's the joint meeting. And then also I was invited to Rogers Heights. They invited a few leaders and other organizations in the community to talk with the principal and other leaders in the school just about what's going on in the school, their curriculum, their vision, and also requests And one of the major requests is they'd like our support in gaining a new school. The school like tearing it down or, yeah, tearing it down and starting all over again. They have
no.
They have leaks in the school. When it rains, water comes inside of the building. It's just beginning to, it is a poor conditions. Unfortunately, there are other schools that are in worse condition than Rogers Heights. Rogers Heights is 60 years old, I believe, or 65 years old. The other thing that they wanted to do, they'd like a new marquee to, say Rogers Heights, or I believe even an electronic marquee. So they were asking us to assist with that. I did chat with Mr. Barnes about it to see where funding could come from as a joint port towns, not Edmonston, but joint port towns. So we talked about our Port Towns Day Fund that we haven't utilized money from. So we'll have some discussion with the Port Towns about that maybe at our next Port Towns meeting. So they really appreciate, Rogers Heights appreciates Edmonston. What we do, we are always donating food for the children. We provide lunch for the staff. I think it was the first day of school, their in-service day. Was it, Mr. Barnes, Miss Avery? And Mr. Barnes and Miss Avery, they go purchase the lunch and feed the staff. And I always get emails back saying, thank you very much. They greatly appreciate it. At this last leadership meeting, Bladensburg provided lunch. So it's really catching on. And I know that the school feels the Port Town support. So thank you for allowing us to do that. And Acting Chief Beal attended his first legit annual meeting. He came there and I had to get up and leave. And so I texted him and I apologized. And he said, oh, I didn't even realize you left because I was taking notes. So that was really cool. So it was really a good meeting there. So that's pretty much all that I have.
Mayor,
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
the question about Rogers Heights,
Mhm.
being very concerned about the school building. Was there any talk about where they fit in like the PGCPS blueprint for new schools? Like, are they at all? I know that PGCPS is, I think now they're trying to do the bidding for contracts of phase 2 of the blueprint, but I just don't know which schools are on that list, because I know there's like, they've got a plan for this that's like sort of
So
a decade long. Yeah.
I actually reached out during the meeting to our school board representative. And she says that Rogers Heights is on the list, but not in the way that they'd necessarily like to be. But they're building wings on a few nearby schools to help the transition. So they're building some wings so they can house some students. And our school board member is going to pull together the plans so that we can see. And there are 50 other schools just as old as Rogers Heights. And this cycle 2 planning, she says, is going to be pretty intense. So Rogers Heights is really just about on that bottom of that list. So 51 is probably where Rogers Heights is. So she'll meet with me or meet with us or Port Towns to lay out that plan or discuss that plan so we have greater understanding. Because Principal Edwards, is reaching out to everyone he possibly can in order for us to kind of push us either up that list or over. And the redistricting has made a difference too, so.
Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Barnes? Mhm.
I just have one other item I forgot to mention. This is the 5th year of Mayor Gantt's Adopt a Child program for Edmonston community, and it has grown from that first year when we had about 15 excited children receiving their gifts at Town Hall and having a reception, to now this year our need is 75 children. So our goal is to raise $7,500 to meet the needs of those. We're getting there. We're at about $5,000. So if you know of some business or someone that wants to participate or contribute to the program, please let Avery or I know so that we can get them on the list and help take care of these children. We help them to have a brighter Christmas. It's I think one of the most rewarding programs that we do. And we thank Mayor Gantt for thinking of it and continuing to make it happen. So 5th year of doing this.
Yeah, thank you. That was very important. And as you said that, yeah. Oh, turkey distribution. Mr. Barnes, turkey distribution. Did you mention that?
Yes, our turkey distribution is on November 18th. Victory Grace Church is doing their distribution on the 19th. And they, as they do and have done in years past, they're doing it down at the rec center. So Saturday morning, and people will either be picking up or we will be delivering them off on Friday, the 18th. So we have I believe we have 50 some people on that list. That's all, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Was there a comment? Oh. All right. Well, Ms. Ferguson, did you have anything?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Well, anything else from anyone else? If not,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Sorry, I was late.
Oh, it's okay. Thanks for making the meeting.
Mayor, just recognizing
Oh,
Alberta.
yeah. Hi.
from,
You know, I
Petco.
think I saw it and then I covered my screen a little bit with the agenda. Hello, Alberto. Thank you for being here tonight.
Oh, my pleasure, Mayor. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to pop in, just say hello. And to just, thank you for what you're doing. I was at your website and I saw that, you are the greenest, town. So, kudos for all of that and, keep up the good work.
Thank you. And thank you for our updates. Really appreciate it.
Very welcome. You all take
right.
care.
Take care. Have a good
You
night.
too.